And while we stay with this particular story, the Gauteng Provincial Legislature's Portfolio Committee on Community Safety is calling for a total eradication of illegal mining that remains an enormous and devastating problem in the province. And there, of course, have been several incidents involving illegal miners in the province, including the deaths of 17 people at Angelo Informal Settlement in Boksburg. You also have heard, of course, what has happened in Krugersdorp a year later. There's still no accountability there. Today, the Riverlea Community staged a protest demanding an end to illegal mining activities in their community. And these are but some of the communities that are impacted by this. So Dr. Bandile Masuku is the chair of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature's Community Safety Portfolio Committee. Thank you so much, Dr. Masuku, for your time. Looking at what we are seeing unfolding before our eyes, it's a desperate situation.
Good afternoon, and yes, indeed, it is a desperate situation, and we do agree with the residents that a lot of promises have been made in the past, and it's high time that something must be done, and our response must be heightened. And I think we should move beyond the minister coming into the area and then leaving and don't even give us a particular result. So it's an important thing that we need to call with the residents and agree with the residents that something must be done. And I think in the situation that we are facing, I think our police are not having capacity and they need reinforcement.
And talking about, law enforcement on the ground, there's also something to be said, though, about, state security, because surely we needed some intelligence to know who's behind these horrendous acts that we are seeing.
A lot that is actually lacking and deficient in the approach that we are seeing on the law from the side of law enforcement, because some of the activities that you see and that we hear about are quite strange if they happen just right under the nose of the police or even law enforcement. And it's something that we need to be able to hold, the police administration accountable. And one of the actions that we have taken as a provincial committee is also to bring in our colleagues from the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces to have maybe a joint action to hold the minister accountable, and all the other departments like the Department of Minerals and Energy also needs to be held accountable in this regard.
And also, when one thinks about the Department of Minerals and Energy, there's also quite a lot that is being said by various communities that are impacted by this, that one, the shafts are left open and the rehabilitation fund doesn't seem to be finding its way to making sure that those shafts are closed. But at the same time, there seems to be even other bigger problems when it comes to some of the ownership, when it comes to these mines and all of that. So there's quite a lot that needs to be answered by themselves as well.
It's quite a lot, and I think as Gauteng, in the West Rand, for an example, we know the mining companies, particularly those who have abandoned their shafts and they abandoned their mine operations. We believe that some of them actually are involved in this funding and continuous operation of this illegal mining, because it happens outside the eyes of the revenue collection, and it also parts of tax evasion. So there is a belief, and I think I do agree with that belief, that the mining companies actually are involved in this illegal mining, because you can see the resources that are put in, and how armed these illegal miners are, and it's something that needs to be taken into account. But we think that the Department of Minerals and Energy must be held accountable, and I think one of the things that we are going to do is to also call the minister from the site, through our colleagues in the National Assembly, to come and speak to this matter. I think we are quite tired about having this discussion over and over again and nothing gets done, and the president and the premier must also, actually roll up their sleeves and make sure that we deal with this. We can't live with our citizens living in fear.
Is it a lack of political will, or what is at play here?
You could possibly say that, and I think that's one of the reasons that as a committees in the legislature, we are the people that's supposed to make sure that, the political will is there, there is presence, or we make it to be there, and we hold the people accountable, but those who are deployed in those actual positions, because those positions are not just occupied for, just for the fun of it, services must be delivered, our citizens are living in fear, and something must be done. And if we just get visits from the ministers and nothing gets done, the president, the premier from the side of the province must be able to come up with something that we have to, if needs be, I think, the state of emergency and the army must be put up, because we cannot fight. The police have proven that they don't have capacity, to fight these illegal miners. And
how much of a concern is it for the committee that, you've alluded to it a little earlier on, but the fact that we keep on talking about the foot soldiers, the people who are either caught on camera or, are shot involved in these gang activities, but there are kingpins here, there are masterminds behind what we are seeing, and I wonder if that is a concern for the committee that we still don't have one of them behind bars.
It's a concern because the reports that we read, the research, and people that are doing some investigation that they've written about, they still also talk about the mining companies themselves being involved in these operations. Some they do allege that some politicians, some of our colleagues are involved in this, and it's something that is very disturbing. If we actually think about it, that we have people who actually take part in economic sabotage, and part in the illicit financial flows, because those monies never get accounted and they don't play a role in the development of our country. And it's something that is very much disheartening and disappointing. But I think what is important is that the calls that are made by all our residences across the province about the illegal mining must be supported. And as the committee, we are going to take these actions, and we are activating all our processes within the legislature, within our powers, to make sure that there is accountability.
So given what you're saying, then, should it be declared treason?
It should be, that's why I say that it amounts to actually sabotage, it's economic sabotage, and that's, for it on its own, it means that there must be a heightened response, the president, the premier, they must be able to actually stand up and deal with it. It cannot be, that the brazen, lawlessness, is just allowed in our province and in our country, and we just sit back and continuously talk, and it's something that needs to happen. And maybe some of the powers of the legislature, are quite limited, but one of the things that we are going to do, we are going to side with the communities, we are going to side with the citizens until those who have the powers and authority to act, they act.
All right. Dr. Masuku, thank you so much for your time. Let's then keep track and see what exactly is happening with this particular matter. That is Dr. Bandile Masuku, who's the chair of the Gauteng's Provincial Legislature's Community Safety Portfolio Committee. A lot of concern about this particular story. There is still a lot of layers that need to be unpacked on this one.